voices made its way into my dreams. I thought you lost it somewhere overseas.
I'm Raul Ochoa, and I am modern day Midas. The name modern day Midas came from a very drunk night with my friend Ian Ferguson, who referred to me while passing me a shot of whiskey as modern day Midas. When I asked him what he meant, he reiterated the story of King Midas from Greek mythology. And those who aren't familiar with it, King Midas was the king whose touch turned everything to gold. It was both a gift and a curse in that he was gifted with these riches, but it was a curse in that he eventually starved to death with the gift that he was given. I always kind of like the correlation between that and being a starving artist.
Hello there, the angel from my nightmare, shadow in the background of the morgue, unsuspecting victim of darkness in the valley.
When it comes to my style of music, I would define my style. There's very much folk elements in it, but the way the production, everything happens with it, I like to call it urban folk because the urban elements within the production, but they're folk songs at the end of the day. They're songs that I write on my acoustic guitar or piano, singing about life and my journey through it. What got me into making music in the first place was, I think, the exact same thing that every other 14 and 15-year-old boy who picks up a guitar wants, and it's kind of just to learn songs to impress some girls, but it evolved into more of an expression of my truth. I'm finding new truths about myself in lines that I'm not even sure where they came from, or songs that I'm not even sure where they originate from, but they're coming out of me. So that's what's kept me going in music. What draws me to it every time is that surprise that's always around the corner.
Whoa, sweet child of mine. Whoa, sweet love of mine.
I've been sober for roughly 10 months at this point, getting toward my year mark. And in June 16th of 2018, I don't know if you can see this tattoo that's in my parents' handwriting. I was admitted to the hospital after having lunch with a friend. I started feeling a little bit ill, and I went to go throw up, thought maybe I ate something wrong, and I started puking blood nonstop for a few hours before I finally made my way to the ER. I was drinking myself to death. What started as a fun hobby turned into a necessity for me to cope and function. And I didn't rely on my music as much. Music was a job at that point. I had been doing it for so long that it was part of my routine to just wake up, have a shot, go play a show, have a couple of shots at the show, have a couple of shots afterwards, come home tired from the show, cap it off with a nightcap, go to sleep, do it all over again the next day, every day. The doctors told me roughly if I didn't stop drinking that I'd be dead in 3 years. And I don't really want to die. I kind of prefer living. It's the only thing that I think I'm pretty good at. The way it's affected my music is I had to face my music, songs that I had written over several years while in this. A lot of people describe it as a haze. It wasn't really a haze for me. It was a shell that I was just protecting myself and layering myself in. And I was facing those songs again for the first time, it felt like, for several of them, and finding a different meaning, almost as though I was crying out for help in my past. And I was finally listening to myself. I'm taking those lessons that I should have learned a long time ago and putting them toward a newer sound, something more, very much in the same element, in the same vein as those other songs, but with a fresh life. I have a fresh start. I have a second chance that not a lot of people get, and I don't want to squander it.
Hope that boy I knew was in a better place. Heard her quiet lost some things she can't replace.
The collaborations that I've done, a lot of them were drinking buddies, friends that I met when I first moved to Austin about 8 years ago. With this kind of newfound life, I want to give back and I want to highlight them, and I want to do it as a way to thank them for maintaining a relationship, because not all of them, probably none of them, have had to struggle dealing with alcoholism like I have. But they've all gone through their own struggles, and we've all sort of stuck together or around each other. It's almost like re-meeting friends every time I do one of these collaborations. Like I did one with Clint Manning, who's been my producer since the first album, one of my closest friends. He did a video with my videographer, Mr. Alex Gilbert of Studio Gilby. He came on and played piano with a song that I long wanted to retire and just breathe new life into it. I've done a collaboration with Samantha Lee, who she's been a sister through the journey for a long time. And she's doing wonderful things with her band. I got a couple of other projects coming up. I got to collaborate with Josh Klaus, and I've loved his voice since the first time I heard him years ago. This is actually the first time we'd ever played together, and we just sat in a room for 5 minutes while Alex set up the camera and worked out the song, and then just did it in a take. I want to collaborate with those friends that I've known for years, but also seeing new people in the scene that don't have exactly the means or the connections that I have or that these friends have, to help give them a leg up as well.
Is it too late? Is it too late for me to look around in?
For a long bit, I was thinking after this third album that I released, which was the first sober album that I released, I thought that was going to be the end of Midas, that was going to be closing the book and starting over with a new moniker, new name type of thing. But like I said earlier, I feel like I'm revisiting a lot of these songs for the first time, or I'm re-meeting these songs, I'm facing these songs again. So I think I'm going to revisit a couple of them, a couple of songs that I didn't think made the cut at the time, maybe will speak to me a little bit differently, and just continue sobriety, continue writing, continue collaborating, and hopefully have many more years of memories and many, many other connections, and do many more videos like this.
Spend my life chasing giants down the roads they've led me on, but I am done staying quiet. Gonna know